Hello and welcome to the Paid Search Podcast. My name is Chris Schaefer, and today I'm going to talk about Google Ads. As always, I have multiple sections that we're going to go through. We're going to dig through a question from a listener. I'm also going to go through the topic of the week, which is how to audit your own Google Ads account. So I do a lot of audits for people that I do Google Ads management for, consulting, and one thing I've learned is there is a very common pattern that you can find in accounts that will lead to very important discoveries that you may not see. So we're going to talk about how to analyze your account, how to audit it very quickly with some obvious signs that you need to be aware of. So please stay around for that because I guarantee you're going to learn something today. First thing I want to start with is a reminder about my sponsor, optio.com/PSP. It is a very popular Google Ads management software, and it is available for anyone that's listening to this show to try it for free for 2 months. This tool is designed to help you get more done in Google Ads more efficiently, to see data, to make decisions about your Google Ads without just relying on Google's recommendations. You know, you just hit apply on recommendations and you're not sure if it was a good decision or not, right? Optio is built different. It does give you recommendations and ideas, but the difference is that Optio helps step you through the reasoning for this recommendation, helps you understand the metrics behind it, why it chose that. So not only does it educate, it can help you save time during your management. Wonderful tool. Highly recommend it. You can try it for free at optio.com/PSP. Use the chat box when you go to their website and tell them, hey, Chris told me about your amazing tool. Can I try it for an extra month? Can I try it for 2 months? And they will give you that special offer. Okay, let's jump in with the first section, which is question from a listener. You can send in your questions by going to paidsearchpodcast.com and sending me an email listed on that website. So today's question is from Eric. Eric says, Chris, what are your thoughts on making demographic adjustments at the ad group level when the statistics show that it's a good choice? Do you tend to follow these suggestions, or do you have other methodologies dealing with such things? Thank you, Eric, for the question. So I picked this question because this is something that I have a very particular theory on, and I want to explain why I think this way and why I think it's important to manage and consider your adjustments this way, because I want you to make a decision for yourself. My methods aren't always the only, or they're not the only way. They're not always the best way, and you need to decide if my method fits for you or not. So let's first define what Eric's talking about. So what Eric is talking about is the demographic adjustments that are available at the age, gender, and income level of your Google Ads account. You can exclude, bid up, bid down with these different demographic areas. And what it's doing is it's looking at the person. So let's say you are a car salesman. You sell cars in your area and you have a campaign for all these different types of cars, and you're selling only new cars. Okay? Now, regardless of who is doing the search in Google Ads, if they're doing a search, they're going to be able to see your ad, right? If you have enough budget and bids and keywords and all of that. Now, what the audience segment, what the demographic section does is it tells you who is clicking on those keywords. It gives you an adjustment option for gender. It gives you an adjustment option for age, and the estimated or guess of what Google thinks their income might be. Are they in the top 10%, 20%, 30% of the income in the United States or whatever area is available? So this is an insight into who is clicking. Okay, so this is very different than the fact that they've done this search. So be very aware. Do not make massive judgments just because something unpredictable has happened here. You know, you're seeing a whole bunch of lower 50% clicks, but that is not always lower 50%. What I mean is you're seeing clicks coming in from the lower 50% income bracket, right? And you're selling luxury cars. So you might think, oh, this is bad. You might be tempted to turn that bracket off entirely. But keep in mind, the person, assuming you have good keywords, searched and clicked your ad. So they have actively been searching for this. So the first thing is, before you make any adjustments, make sure that you're attracting the right people, because the wrong people would give you the wrong assessment of what these metrics are, you know, who's coming in. It could change all of that. So first, as always, make sure your traffic is right. Make sure you're choosing the right keywords. Then, once you have analyzed that, now we can go in and start making assessments of who is clicking. Now, what are my thoughts on making these adjustments? Well, number one, I only make adjustments that tend to follow a logical, linear assumption based on what I'm selling, right? So if it's luxury cars, and I notice that high-income individuals in the 40s, 50s, 60s age bracket are largely the one that's getting the traffic, that feels about right? I don't necessarily care about gender there, but age and income, you know, I would expect it to be maybe a little bit older demographic and a higher income demographic. Great, that checks out. Now, let's say I'm getting a lot of conversions from the 18 to 25-year-old bracket, and they are in the 30, 40, lower 50% income bracket. And I'm showing lots and lots of conversions here. Red flag, right? You should be concerned about this. This could be an indicator that you are getting the wrong kind of traffic. Conversions don't mean that this is always good. You should have red warning lights go out you should not just take the data and go with it if it doesn't make logical, linear sense about these kind of people are clicking and converting, right? 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds that are buying luxury cars that are in, you know, lower income zip codes, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I might question that. So, first rule is make sure that your traffic's good. Once you've established that, make sure that your metrics make sense logically. Then number 3, I do make adjustments here when it shows to be statistically significant. Now, to be clear, I do not do equations. I don't throw up an equation. I don't have some kind of analysis that I do. This is more just of gut feeling. You know, it's like, yeah, this, for the past 2 months, the conversions from the male 50 to 60 age bracket who are in the top 20% income have done well. I feel like that's a good adjustment, so I am going to bid up on that. Okay, I'm going to make a more aggressive push to that market. That makes sense to me. I'm comfortable with that. Now, the question is, how much of a bid adjustment do I make? You know, how do I make that bid adjustment? Well, let me say this. And this gets me into the next part of Eric's question, do I tend to follow these suggestions or have a methodology of doing these suggestions? Well, here's my methodology, and it comes down to the very last point of this process. Once I've done all of this, now I'm going to look at that information and I'm going to make a judgment and say, yes, I am willing to bet this is a good bracket for me. These type of people do seem like they make sense for me to bid up on that. So I am going to bid up significantly. And here's where my opinion starts to weigh pretty heavily, and you need to decide what makes sense for you. I do not bid 5%, 10%, 15%. I bid 30, 40, 50, 60% up. I do not feel that as a Google Ads manager that is trying to manage a campaign, that 5%, 7%, 8%, 10% bid adjustments are in any way effective. The reason for this is because I cannot analyze 5% bid adjustments. They are basically indistinguishable between the traffic that has 0% and 5%. You cannot tell me, ooh, look, that tiny little bump right there, that's my 5% bid adjustment. No, it's not. It's ridiculous. There's no way. Your small little bid adjustments are not appropriate for manual bidding, manual adjustments. If you're making a change, make an aggressive change. Push hard, analyze that data, and see if you're happy with that change. Maybe a 35% bid adjustment. That's one of my favorite bid adjustment percentages because it's about a third, and it's enough that it should make some kind of difference, but it's not so much that it could cripple or kill the campaign. So my methodology here is I might make a 35% bid adjustment, leave it for a while, make a note that I changed it, then come back and see, did the bids go up? Am I getting a higher percentage of traffic now? What happened? Did I get did my conversion rate change? Did my cost per conversion stay the same and I get more conversions? Did my cost per conversion skyrocket and suddenly now I'm not happy with it? I can make an assessment. The stronger bid adjustment you make, the shorter amount of time that you would essentially need to analyze that. So if I did a 100% bid adjustment, I wouldn't need as long to be able to analyze what kind of effect that made to my demographic adjustments. So that's my methodology. That's how I lay it out. That's how I approach things. I don't kind of just push a little bit here. What I don't do is have 15, 20 different minor bid adjustments all over the place. 1% here, 12% here, 2% here. I do not find that to be appropriate, and here's where I'll nail down my strongest opinion about this. I think those kind of bid adjustments are inappropriate for someone who is doing anything other than fully trusting the algorithm. If you're doing max conversions, I don't think that this is appropriate for you. I mean, you can. If you're doing max conversions, you're leaving the algorithm a wide open channel to bid whatever it needs to for everything. You're just leaving the gate open. Let the algorithm do what the algorithm's going to do. If you're doing target CPA, target ROAS, something like that, then okay. Now you're actually able to potentially make some adjustments here, and it's hard to know exactly how the algorithm is going to interpret those adjustments. So I wouldn't say that it's very black and white, but maybe that's a more appropriate time to make those bid adjustments. But I would really caution anyone that's leaning into the algorithm, anyone who's leaning into smart bidding, automated bidding, whatever you want to call it, maximize conversions, target CPA, whatever you're doing. If you're not doing max clicks or manual bids, I would be cautious about doing this, because if you're trying to make this work, if you're trying to test these things truly, you're either trusting the algorithm or you're not. Your job is not to play with the gas pedal here, right? Quit micromanaging your way through 2% bid adjustments on an automated bid strategy. It's a waste of time. You're spinning your tires here. You're not really being effective. You're not doing your job. You're stepping on the algorithm's toes, and I don't think that it's appropriate. For those that are doing manual bid adjustments, manual bidding, that is your job. Your job is to make these adjustments. Your job is to make this analysis. Your job is to do these things. So, great. I think that's appropriate for what you should be doing. So that's my methodology. Those are all my opinions bottled into about 15 minutes of a 15-minute summary here. So I hope that's useful. Eric, thank you for sending in the question. And I want to move on now to my next section. I hope you guys don't mind today. It's going to be a little bit shorter of a podcast, I think. I haven't gone through the whole topic yet, but I want to get into it now. Opteo.com/PSP. In case you forgot, that is the place to go. opteo.com/PSP to try the free trial, 2-month free trial of the number one Google Ads management tool out there, opteo.com/PSP. So here we go. I want to tell you how to audit your own Google Ads account. And first, let me explain why I think this is a topic that I think is important, why I chose this topic. I did several sessions this week with people consulting on their accounts, looking at their accounts, helping them to understand their accounts. And one of the things that I heard over and over this week was, Chris, I don't know how to read my data. Chris, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know how to interpret it. They're intimidated by it. They don't know if it's good, it's bad. They're waffling back and forth, turning some things off, turning some things on. Don't know if they're doing good. Don't know if they're doing bad. So what I want to try and do is give you at least the easy things to spot in your Google Ads account that will help you to know if there's something blatantly wrong with your Google Ads. Okay? I want to start with some really basic things. And the first is CPC. Okay, so CPC is cost per click. So if your cost per click is very low for your search campaigns, this should be a red flag. Now, I realize this is very difficult for you to know if it's very low, so I'm going to try and give you some examples. If you are selling used cars, I talked about cars, used cars, new cars, stuff like that. If, a typical CPC might be $8 to $12 per click. Okay, if you're getting solid Google.com traffic for, used cars for sale near me, specific models of vehicles, it could be anywhere from 8 to 12. Now I'm going out on a limb here. I could be off some, but if that number shocks you, then you might be someone who really needs to consider what I'm talking about here, because you might think that $2 is high. You've been getting dollar cost per click. Okay? I'm talking to you. All right. So if you find that your CPC for lawn care is in the $1, $2 range, I'm talking to you. If you are a lawyer and you're getting clicks for $3, $4, $5 on Google.com, I'm talking to you. Okay? If you are an e-commerce company who is selling accessories for phones, accessories for cars, and you're getting 50 cent clicks 50 cent or lower. I'm definitely talking to you. Okay? So hopefully that gives enough examples of what a very, very low CPC might look like, kind of based on the industry that you're in. So many people think that a extremely low CPC is the goal. I'm telling you it is not. That is not a good thing, because here's the reason you would be worried about this. A very, very low CPC would indicate that you're possibly getting traffic outside of google.com. You're getting display network traffic or search partners traffic. Not going to go into how to turn those off. Look it up. I'm sure you can find some information, but please check and make sure that your traffic is not going to display and search partners. And if it is, make sure it's an appropriate percentage. It should be a minority of the traffic. Many, many times, I cannot tell you how many times I see it, there is an account that's spending tens of thousands of dollars, and 90% of the time, that traffic's going to the display network and search partners, and only 10% of it is going to google.com. That is an inappropriate amount of traffic going to networks outside of google.com. Okay? That would be the cause of a very, very low CPC, because these networks, these display networks, these search partner networks are cheap. They're typically not great quality. It's a much cheaper network to get traffic on. I imagine when you signed up for Google Ads, you signed up to get traffic on google.com, right? Next, another cause of this red flag would be junk clicks. You're getting spam traffic. I wouldn't call it spam, but it's basically worthless traffic. So the solution for this would be you need to stop your broad keywords. You need to work on getting better keywords. Improve your keywords. Use more specifically targeted keywords. Phrase match is probably a good place to start, at least, but I've done plenty of episodes in the past about how to pick the right keywords and stuff like that, so I won't go into it here, but that is the solution. So very low CPC, massive red flag here. On the other hand, a very low CPC with a high conversion rate. You say, Chris, I actually have a super low CPC, but I have a amazing conversion rate. I mean, all my other people I talk to, they have conversion rates of 1%, 3%, 5%. I'm getting a 17, a 35% conversion rate. I'm killing it. I shouldn't even be listening to your podcast, Chris, because I'm doing so great. Well, you should be listening twice as much, because I'm talking to you. It never fails that when I jump into an account that has intimidatingly ridiculous metrics, like super, super low CPCs and super, super high conversion rates, these people are wasting their money. And inevitably, when I ask questions, it turns out, well, actually, yeah, Chris, we get a lot of spam. Yeah, Chris, actually, we get a lot of people that call about our competitors. And guess what's happening? They're sending traffic to search partners. They're sending traffic to display. They're sending traffic to absolute junk stuff, and they're getting cheap traffic that generates, quote unquote, conversions. But these conversions are spam, worthless. They're no good. And it's making the metrics look phenomenal. But in reality, they are wasting money. So the solution is turn off search partners, turn off the display network, fix your keywords, stop wasting money on spam traffic. All right, so let's flip the table here and try things the other way. A very high CPC. This can also be discovered by looking at your search impression share lost due to rank. All right, so if you listen to the podcast long enough, you've heard me say search impression share lost due to rank. Search lost IS rank is the technical term. So I'll just say very, very low number on your search lost IS rank. That is akin to having a very high CPC. So if you don't know if your CPC is high or not, look at your search lost IS rank. And if it's in the 10%, 5%, 20% range, you should understand that that's a red flag. Very, very high CPCs. It's impossible for me to say what that would be, but $30, $40, $50 clicks, $25 clicks. If you're paying that much per click, you sure better know the quality of traffic you're paying for. It better be good quality, because you may be, and here's the cause, here's the problem, is that you may be overbidding for your traffic. Or the problem is you're being too picky with your traffic. You are trying to do a exact match keyword campaign that's so expensive, that's so specific, that you're having to jack up your clicks super high, right? To astronomically high CPC numbers. And this can really cause your campaign to be highly ineffective. So the solution is, for those that are overbidding, lower your bids. For those that are not overbidding, but they just have to keep raising their bids in order to just get traffic, add more keywords. So hopefully that's obvious to you. Hopefully that helps. So now we're going to go through a few more things, 2 more to be exact. So if I didn't catch you on the CPC, here's another very easy one that you should be aware of. Number 1, click-through rate. Right? That's CTR is the abbreviation, click-through rate. Sometimes the Google system will interpret that as interaction rate. It'll label it interaction rate. Click-through rate's the old school term. Interaction rate's the fancy, meaningless term that isn't very precise. I don't like it, but that's what the default system will call it. So very, very high interaction rate, very, very high CTR, very, very high click-through rate. Whatever you want to call it, you should understand that's a red flag. Okay? Again, what's a very, very high CTR? I'd say in general, possibly above 10%. Definitely above 20%. You better have some very specific reasons. That better be a heck of a campaign that you're running if you're getting 20% CTRs and above. Because I'll tell you, if I'm doing an audit on an account and I see 20% CTRs, I'm immediately suspicious. Let me tell you why. This is the cause of very high CTR. You could very likely be getting a bunch of brand clicks and or competitor clicks. Okay? So these brand clicks are going to always have extremely high click-through rates, because when someone's searching for your brand, right, ABC Widgets is the name of your company, and they're searching ABC Widgets, they're going to click ABC Widget ad. Easy. You're going to have very high click-through rates. So now that's going to be reflected in your CTR. So that is a symptom of having the problem of brand traffic. If you're not purposefully trying to get brand traffic, then you should be aware that you're getting it, and then it's inflating, changing, spending money on something that you may not be intending. The next is competitor clicks. This is something that is really sneaky. You could be running a campaign and getting very high conversion rates and very high CTR, right? Very high click-through rate, CTR. And meanwhile, you're wondering why you're not closing any of these conversions, why none of these phone calls, why none of these leads are working out. It's because what you're actually paying for is someone looking for XYZ widget company, right? Your ABC, they're searching for XYZ. The problem is XYZ offers something else. XYZ is not you. They're calling for XYZ and saying, hey, can I get a XYZ widget? And you're like, no, we sell ABC. Oh, never mind. Hang up. right? That counted as a conversion because they called you. That counted as a conversion because they filled out the form on your site. But you can't sell to them. And if you do, it happens pretty rarely. It's a very poor way of generating leads, but it can be seen pretty obviously with a very high CTR and sometimes a very high conversion rate as well. So the solution for each of these is to block brand traffic, stop brand traffic from coming through on your non-brand campaigns. Make sure that your company name is not something you're paying money for in your search campaigns. For those that are paying for competitor traffic, block competitors. Don't pay for XYZ company whenever you're ABC company, okay? Most of the time it's a bad investment, and it can lead to a lot of spending on traffic that will never truly convert for you because they're not looking for you. They're looking for someone else. I'm not saying that it's not a viable opportunity, but it shouldn't be your only strategy. And last, we will wrap it up with this: low CTR. Now, this one's a little easier to define. Low CTR is typically, for me, going to be something below 1%. Okay? So if your click-through rate, if your interaction rate is below 1%, I would immediately, if I was doing an audit on your account, be suspicious. That would be a red flag for me. So what does that mean? Well, the cause of it is probably because you're not communicating the right ad to the right keyword. People are looking for yellow bunny slippers, and your ads are just saying clothes. We sell clothes. Okay. You're not going to get a good response and say, well, okay, great. Clothes is a very general term for yellow bunny slippers. That's what I'm looking for. The appropriate way to advertise on Google is when someone's looking for yellow bunny slippers, you show them an ad that says yellow bunny slippers, or just even bunny slippers, or house shoes, or comfortable house shoes, right? That's the appropriate way to do it. Not just try and capture all the traffic under one generic, boring, non-responsive kind of ad. That's the wrong way to do it. And you would be experiencing very low click-through rates from this. Okay? And the solution to this is to create a structured campaign based on what you're trying to sell, different themes of ad groups. If you're a garage organization company, you might have one ad group that's focused around design, right? Organization, design, designers near me. Garage organization designers, something like that. You also might have another ad group that's around remodel, garage remodel companies, garage remodeling companies, right? That's an example of one service being broken into different types of descriptions that are still the same service, but they'll help match the person's search initially of what they're looking for. That's a great way to do it. Google will reward you for that. Google will give you better quality scores. You'll get better click-through rates. And generally, you'll improve the entire health of your campaign by having these themed specific ad copy groups. So hopefully you have discovered something that you need to go look at in your account. Very low CPCs with conversion rate. Very high CPCs, very high CTR, or a very low CTR. Hopefully one of those sparks your interest and you can start diving. And that's how I manage campaigns myself. I look for things that are off. things that are not right. If you would like for me to take a look at your account with you, I offer consulting. I also do Google Ads management. If you're just ready to give up and say, you know what, I'm tired of it, I don't have time for it anymore, and just hire somebody to do it. That's primarily what I do, is Google Ads management. So if you're interested in that, you can reach out to me, chrisschaefer.com. The link is in the description. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for being here. I will catch you next week.